Thomas? You seem particularly triggered right now. Can you tell me what happened?
I've had dreams that weren't just dreams.
Am I crazy? We don't use that word in here.
Hi.
Have we met?
One pill makes you larger, and one pill makes you small. And the ones that mother gives you don't do anything at all. Go ask Alice when she's 10 feet tall.
Time to fly.
And you keep on chasing rabbits.
If you want the truth, Neo, you're going to have to follow me.
And you know you're going to fall.
The only thing that matters to you is still here. I know it's why you're still fighting and why you will never give up. You don't know me. No?
After all these years, to be going back to where it all started. Back to the Matrix.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Matrix Podcast, Episode 3, Choose Your Reality. For this episode, we will be handing it off to a recent talk that Lana, David, and Aleksandar were all present at, where they discussed the film in light of the trailer that had at that time released the day before. So without further ado, enjoy.
Okay, hi everybody. It's a wonderful, great historical moment for me, I have to tell you. I'm also a bit excited because I think it's a historical moment. They work together, but they don't meet every day, that's clear. And these are four world-famous people who created world-famous works, and especially a trilogy that is really not just for me, a classical work that changed the course of science fiction and fantasy films. And we are talking about the fourth part. And as you all know, timing is perfect. Yesterday, the extended trailer was released. I'm sure everyone saw it. Yeah, of course. Yes, yes. I analyzed it with my son yesterday, 3 hours. We watched every second, and I would try to, to get some explanations for every second. Now, I'm really happy that we have this kind of conversation, and it's not just about this new film. It's about working with a myth, writing about a myth, and creating maybe a new myth. And first of all, say hello to this amazing woman who worked together with Lily and created not just Matrix, but especially Matrix, Lana Wachowski. Welcome. So good to have you here.
Hello. Thanks for that lovely intro.
I hope it's okay. We have... Sorry about that. We have...
Kein Problem.
Lana. Yeah, take your time, Lana. We have two amazing writers here, and one of these two writers already worked together with Tom, of course, and with Lana for the Cloud Atlas. And this was a world-known, wonderful bestseller. He has a new book, Utopia Avenue, is not finished or not translated yet.
Not yet, no.
Yeah, so this is your only date here in Berlin today. David Mitchell. Welcome, David. Thank you.
Dankeschön.
And a writer born in Bosnia and living in the States, writing in English and Bosnian. You explained it to me. His new book is just published in Germany, so he has a second date on Sunday,
yeah.
right here, I think.
I hope so.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. It's Meine Eltern, so about your parents.
Yeah.
Can't wait to read this book as well. Aleksandar Hemon, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming.
Dankeschön.
They're both working for Lana, for the script, and of course one of the most famous, international, most famous German directors. I don't have to introduce him, but the interesting fact here is that he wrote the music for this new Matrix. I can't wait to hear more about it. Maybe you can sing also something about it. Tom Tykwer. Tom, welcome. Yeah, my name is Knut Elstermann, and I want to introduce to you this amazing woman. She is, I just learned this word, a sign interpreter, Gebärdendolmetscherin. Undine. Yes, great job. Applause, applause, applause for her. She's translating into German, by the way. It's German gestures. Okay, so let's start with this topic. We have exactly 1 hour. Sorry about that, because it's a festival. But first of all, I would really like to know, let's start with Lana. Matrix, almost 20 years ago, 17 years ago, when this trilogy was, in my eyes, concluded. It was really a masterpiece. It was concluded. Now you are returning with these amazing talents to this myth, to the universe of Matrix. Why?
This could take the whole hour. Are you sure you want to ask this question?
Of course.
Yeah, it was concluded in my eyes as well, and Lily's eyes. We wrote it as a very elegant structure, which was dialectical in nature, and it was resonant with ideas of birth, life, death, and thesis, antithesis, synthesis, and these things which we wanted the story to be in a triptych for a reason. Like many stories are just long, and they split them up. But Matrix was designed from the beginning like a piece of music or a philosophical argument, and it had a really beautiful elegance to it, and we loved it, and we thought that was it. It was done, and you know, every year Warner Brothers would ask us to make another one, and every year they would drive truckloads of money up to our house and say, "You could have this." And we said, no, not interested, not interested, not interested. And it never was interesting to me as an idea of trying to continue it. And then something really hard happened, in which both of my parents got ill, or my dad first got ill, and my wife and I went home to take care of them, and we were really close to them, and also a good friend also died in this very short period, a friend of my wife's, and it was just this constant grief, and my dad died, then this friend died, then my mom died, and I didn't really know how to process that kind of grief. It was really, I hadn't experienced it really that close. My grandma was really hard, and then I knew my dad was getting sick, and I kind of, you know that their lives are going to end, and yet it was still like really hard. And then my brain has always reached into my imagination, and one night I was just crying and I couldn't sleep, and suddenly my brain just exploded this whole story. And I couldn't have my mom and dad, and I couldn't talk to my mom, and yet suddenly I had Neo and Trinity, arguably maybe the two most important characters in my life, and it was immediately comforting to have these two characters alive again. And it's super simple, and you can look at it and say, yeah, okay, these two people die, and okay, bring these two people back to life, and oh, doesn't that feel good? Yeah, it did. And it's simple, and this is what art does, and this is what stories do, and they comfort us, and they're important. And I was very non-judgmental to myself. I was like, hey, I know intellectually, oh, so elegant, Matrix, so elegant, I love it. But it was so comforting, and they were back in my life, and then I asked Lily and if she wanted to do this, and she wanted to process her grief differently. And she was in art school, and she was on a different path, and she didn't want to go this way to process her grief. But, the story evolved, and I told my wife the story, and she said, oh my God, you have to make it. And I was like, Matrix, can't go back there. And then I asked my friends, and my friends were really the sort of decision-making process that helped me say, okay, yeah, let's do this. Mm-hmm. And these people are really the reason we went back and did it again.
Yeah, it's Matrix Resurrections. So we have this in the title, what you just explained, and Neo and Trinity are dead in a way, and in the end, to say it that way. So in the trailer, we saw that they are there. And the question is maybe strange.
Did we?
I don't know how far you can go to answer this question, because it's always strange to say a word like real in the context of Matrix, of course.
Ganz genau.
So, but maybe you can describe a little bit the main idea, because time is changing a lot. We are living right now in a very different world than 70 or 20 years ago concerning all these things like fake news, faked reality. So maybe Matrix is an answer to that development?
You'll see in December.
Yes. Lana, it's too long. In Germany, the 23rd of December, by the way, is the release date. But you can answer the question, I think, without reading too much, about this changed world and our reception of the world.
When Keanu, we showed the film to Keanu, and he really was blown away by it, and he said something I thought was typically Keanu, where it's incredibly insightful, and he's just sort of sitting there, and you don't expect some incredible revelation to come out of him in that moment, but he's like casual brilliance just sort of rolls off of Keanu. And he was just like sitting there, and he goes, 20 years ago, you told this story in which you described the coming 20 years and the problems of the nature of digital virtual life and how it was going to impact us and what it was, how we could think about it, and gave us a frame to be able to think about it and talk about it. And you took the same character and the same stories and the same stuff, and somehow you made it about the next 20 years. And he was like, how did you do that?
Okay, we have Carrie Ann Moss, we have Keanu Reeves, you just mentioned him, we have, I'm never quite sure how to pronounce it, Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, it's right? Did you realize? So he is maybe the younger version of Lawrence Fishburne. So we have the ensemble, the main ensemble of the characters that we love and that we like, but we have them in a new context. And you said a little bit about it. Maybe you can ask the authors. Maybe they are more open. I know you will all go to prison if you do.
We are easy to break.
So, but the first question is, of course, more. How was it for you to?
This is why you separated us, right?
The writer's wing.
The writer's wing. Yeah. How was it for you to get in contact with this world that is a world that is already made? It's there. We all discuss all the structures, all the rules, and they are very important. Like, is it possible to create a real child in this world? Things like that. People in the whole world discuss it. So how was it for you to learn these rules, to play with the structures as creative writers?
Firstly, I would like to say that every narrative needs an infinity filter. Otherwise, it's about everything. You need limits, you need walls, you need to think, well, I can be here, I can't be here. I can be here, I can't go there. Whatever you write, if you're writing a narrative from scratch, sooner or later you will need an infinity filter. Entering this magical, sublime, iconic world of the Matrix, I viewed all of the terms upon which that world is already made as this project's infinity filter. That's the first thing I'd like to say. Over to my learned colleague.
Well, I had absorbed The Matrix when it came out, before I knew Lana and Lily and any of these good people, because I had seen Bound, the first film, which I loved very much. So when The Matrix, and I still teach it in my classes very often when I teach screenwriting. And so when The Matrix came out, I didn't need the word of mouth. I just went to see The Matrix because the Wachowskis were on the credits. I was already a fan. And so I watched it as they were coming out, watched the trilogy as it was coming out. And so I guess I recognized the importance all on my own. And so it was already absorbed. And so it was not hard to get into that, particularly since David and I, we worked on Sense8, and we had a similar situation in which the characters were already set, their storylines were set, the world was already built. And in fact, we enjoyed it, if I may speak for you, so much that not only was that not scary, but I couldn't wait to sort of, poke through something that was very important to me in my thinking about the world and film in general. That was the challenge. We write fiction and I make up stuff all on my own all the time. And there was a thing about entering someone else's imagined world and being welcomed to it and sort of seeing how I can add to it. And it was like being invited to someone's home and then say, pick the room, right? And so I picked the room, and it was a nice room. And so to me, when we wrote the finale for Sense8, right, we had storylines, characters, everything was infinity filter, right? So we only had 2.5 hours, 130 pages or whatever, and we had to resolve all of these things. And this kind of juggling and trying to fit things into the format doesn't happen in the novel. If you have more to say, you just keep writing. If it's 1,000 pages novel, someone's going to buy it. And so the cost is the same other than the food. And so it's trying to fit into the limits. It was creatively stimulating to me in ways that I don't usually experience in writing all that, like word limits and all that. But also being part of a shared brain, a shared mind in that context with Lana and David and Tom in Sense8, and The Matrix too. That is, I perceive it as a great privilege, intellectual privilege. I've learned so much, understood so much about the nature of filmmaking and storytelling, and it spilled into my work in very significant ways.
I'd just like to add that when I was a kid, I used to have a daydream about discovering a brand new colour that nobody had ever discovered. And if only I could find the right combination of orange, a little bit of green, a bit of purple, some silver glitter, then I used to dream that I would be the one who would give to humanity a new colour. Of course, when you do that, you always get the same colour, which is the colour of effluence. However, When I'm working with Lana and Tom and Sasha, I feel that I discover a new colour. Mm-hmm. So whatever we were working on, whether it's on Matrix or anything else, I want to be a part of it because I feel that I've become a better writer than I normally am.
So no pressure, of course, but on the other hand, what kind of burden is that? I mean, you are dealing with one of the greatest cinema myths of this time. I mean, it's Matrix, and you are working there. You can use your own fantasy and so on. I could imagine it's not easy to do so.
Well, I have to. And there are many reasons why I should give credit to Lana and Tom too. They protect us from the film world. They do. I have never met anyone from Warner Brothers in my life. Not one person. I do not know what they look like. They could be here right now. You could all be from Warner Brothers, but I wouldn't know it. You're the plans. And so to me, and the business aspect of it, the difficulty of it, we get it vicariously from Lana's stress. We absorb it, right? But we work with Lana and our friends, and it's playing in the sandpit with friends you like, and we go home. And it is really, really extremely privileged and rare situation. People think that I'm in the business of screenwriting. I can give them advice how to pitch stories to executives. I've never met an executive in my life.
How was it for you?
Pretty much the same, really. I don't feel pressure. I don't feel stress. I know the legacy of The Matrix is there. This must be respected. Of course we respect it. One of the co-creators of this world is here, Lana. So even if we had an awful idea, it wouldn't harm the legacy because it won't reach the finished product. So 1978, Space Invaders, you know that little thing where you move left and right, and there's a house. There's about 3 houses. The houses are Lana and Tom, and me and Sasha can move along the bottom. If you're younger than 40, this metaphor is just a waste of time. Sorry, but there was a little thing, and you used to woo and blubbly, blubbly, blubbly. But you had a little house you could hide under. We hide under the house. So good luck translating that. Sign interpreter. Good luck.
So, Tom, you already, as I said, worked with the sisters. You already worked with David. So, what does it mean to you to write music for this very special universe to get into the mood of Matrix?
Well, so I mean, as Lana depicted, I was part of this process when the idea came to birth. At least in terms of like having a lot of phone calls, and it was an intense time in general because of the grief, and it was complicated times, and we spoke a lot with each other, and the moment I kind of got it, which is always because of course everybody had first. I mean, you hear the first time Matrix 4, you go like, oh, okay, nobody's going to be involved who really cares about the trilogy, and then it's made by those people who care so much, and you need to make that. You need to make the leap. And I'm actually really glad that the trailer's out because I've had so many people going to me are like, really? And you go, okay, now watch the trailer and then you get it. And I think you do. You get that there's something to it that is both unexpected and really fresh and different, and yet it is the Matrix. It is the world of the Matrix, of whatever that means. I mean, the world of the Matrix mythology or the fantasy. But it's also not reconsidered, but rethought in a way. And as I think, as exciting that is to try to kind of stay there, but then go elsewhere with it. I then also realized, because we know each other since the first films, we met actually when.
He's a part of the original Matrix movies.
Yeah,
Music is in.
There's some music in Revolutions that me and my colleagues made. So we actually met through music. And the thing about the films then was when we got to know each other, and you always feel films that really have a strong impact on people and on individuals and on even on societies and on mindsets. I mean, there might be exceptions, but usually it is because they have this unique thing that comes also artistically really from inside. You know, there's something intellectually strong there, but there's also something extremely personal in there. And those two elements are super vividly alive in there. I didn't exactly know then how much of that was true to the trilogy until we met and got to know each other better. And then, yeah, I learned a lot about you and about, you know, transformations, you know, separate worlds, separate identities, and it all, my goodness, fell into place and made so much sense. And then you go, okay, but I've really learned that I think we've changed also as artists over the course of 2 decades. How will that reflect? And that's the interesting thing for me. I think it's an artistically really different beast, and I think it has really different energies, and it's asking for different perspectives. Mm-hmm. And that was the only possibility for me to say, oh, then I can join. Because there's the door is open for something new and different. It's not just this kind of perfect context that needs another edition. It's a real, it's kind of at least a new moon or a new sun in the system. Mm-hmm. So the challenge for the music then was, I think, similar to the writing. And you know, I've had kind of similar guidance because Lana's super involved also in the conception and development of the music, where we do both, you know, try and stay truthful to some of the legacies of and the imprints that it left, but also then really emancipate from it and go elsewhere and go into different musical realms. And so we set off to do this in the methodology that I introduced Lana to, that I've been working with all my life, that we don't produce music after the film has been shot and edited, but we do it actually before. So we compose music based actually on the first draft of a script, and then we really record it with big orchestra, and we have loads of music that is still imagined, related to the imagined movie, not to the actual movie. And that gets together then in editorial and is married there.
That was a total revelation when I discovered, when Tom showed me how he did music on Cloud Atlas. And it's now so obvious. I can't believe that the rest of the movie industry doesn't work this way, because when you put music after, then you end up in a difficult situation where you have to use other people's music, and then you get stuck in these strange repeating Hall of Mirrors ruts, and it's kind of inescapable that then it's based on something else. And what he does is he creates a new language, just like the script, for the movie, and the language is in music. And then you cut your movie to this new language, and it's just, it's transformational.
Yeah. Has to be stated that I'm not alone. There's someone I do it since 25 years, which is Johnny Klimek. He's my partner in the music. Johnny.
Yeah, I always love the way you are treating or working with music in your movies, as you know, Tom. So it will be, I'm sure, a very important part of this new universe. And we just heard you protected them very well, which is unbelievable, by the way, in this business. But on the other hand, you are the creator of Matrix. So did you control a bit? And then, no, you can't do that. And I know it better. I did it first. I'm the controller. Never?
No, I love my friends. This is why I came back to make another. I wasn't sure I was going to even make another film. Lily was sort of done, and Sense8 was something that was so wild and beautiful, and the experience impacted me so much. And I wasn't sure that I could make something better than Sense8. It was so new, it had its own language, it was doing something that I hadn't seen before, and it was something that I wanted when I was a kid to see sexuality and gender and human connectivity without all of the prejudices and biases, and that everyone, the love and connection and intimacy in sex is available to everyone. And I had never seen that, and it was joyful to shoot and make. And then I thought, okay, that's it for a while. I'm gonna go write about stuff and do other things. And Lily was painting. She's an amazing painter, and she went off to do her thing. And then this other thing happened with my parents, and then I really needed my friends and my film family and these people who have been so important to me in my life, who I can't even imagine who I would be if I hadn't met them. And when we get together, it's like playing and making stuff up, either with Tom or making stuff up with David and Sasha, is playing. It's really joyful. We can do it all day long. It's like when I was a kid, I played D&D, and I could just do it forever. I could just make stuff up forever. And that's how it is with them. We just start saying, and then this could happen. And somebody else says, oh my God, and then this could happen. What about if this happened? We never say no. Mm-hmm. We always say yes and.
It is true. It opened up my spaces in my mind that I did not know existed, because writing is such a solitary thing. You spend years inside your head imagining other people, and then you hit the ceiling. I can't imagine anymore, so I have to write it down. And so what Lana does, it was never controlling it, and I watch her on the set too. She facilitates other people's creativity, right? By believing in their creativity to begin with, right? So she doesn't have to control other people and their creativity, right? Mm-hmm. She creates conditions in which that creativity is just easy and fun and joy. And so one of our bonding philosophies is this belief in the joy of making art, right? There's money, there's stress, whatever. But if there's no joy in making it, well, just go home or just enjoy other things like dancing and, drinking, whatever it is. But there's no reason to make art unless you are experiencing it as a joyful, continuously joyful event. And so we call our writing group and friends the pit, because it is the space that we create for ourselves whenever we do this. And it's a space marked with joy, right? I would do anything in the pit. I don't care what the project is, what the chance of success is. I don't care about Warner Brothers. I'll do anything. If we decide to make commercials, I'll make commercials, no problem. And I also want to say this. One of the reasons for me it was easy to sign on to The Matrix is I knew Lana's and Lily's parents very well. We lived in Chicago, my family and I, and because the space of joy, this larger pit, means that friends and family, they constantly mingle together. There's no separation between the film business and life. I mean, for us. So I love them dearly. I cannot mourn them like Lana and Lily and their sisters, but I mourn them. I remember them and I love them. And so to me, that emotional investment was not a strange thing, something that I have to process and understand. That I knew how much she loved them, and I loved them too. And so to me, that transference was not a complication, but in fact, an impetus to join.
I have little to... That's beautiful. I have little to add, really, but just I would like to say that working in the pit is a holiday for me from having to do everything. When you write your novel, you have to do everything, and you have to make it good, or you won't get paid and your children will starve. And
you'll take them away.
What's great about the pit, I can give a half-baked idea, an incomplete idea, something that isn't thought through, but it has something that might be pretty rubbish, but it's got a little beating heart of something in the middle of it that might be really good, and I can present this. And they don't say, well, that's a bit rubbish, Mitchell, isn't it? They say, oh, that's got a nice little beating heart in the middle of that. Let's sort of grow it in this direction, and let's move it here, and let's fit it in with what is happening in Act 3, and let's go back and change this, and let's add let's put a little light in its dark eye and make it three-dimensional and let it gleam. And after half an hour, or half a day, or half a month, my half-baked, half-assed idea comes back completely baked and completely assed. And I'd love to see the translation of that. I would love to. But double assed. That's one of the joys. It is about cooperation and not competition. And I've seen from afar competitive writing rooms, and they're not joyful. And I don't think they make great work. And yeah, I love that. Over.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. That's what the lecture is about, the art of script writing. You wonderful explained this kind of work. I mean, there's so many levels in Matrix, and I know that you all know what this is about. I'm not spoiling everything. There is a Matrix is not real, so it's okay for you. Maybe, but I like so much. You can see it, for instance, like an example for God. I'm a non-believer, but I like this idea that the Matrix is what God is doing. It's a bored God. Being a God is very boring, and so he created us as an entertaining program. So some people say that, maybe there's something in it. And you could see it the same way with the Matrix. You are the gods here. You are creating this world. And probably artists feel someday or sometimes like gods, because you are really creating a world, and you can observe, you can watch what's happening, and that's also entertaining for you.
God's writers were not that great, I have to say. Lana, go.
This is my bored God. I think less about my relationship to like God-likeness than I prefer thinking about this flow of energy and when the something I discovered just to jump back to Cloud Atlas, which was a really incredible experience for everyone that was involved, and the making of the film really changed me as an artist. And a big thing, not just working with Tom, a big thing was also working with John Toll. And this DP, like, he came into my life, he's so sweet and was the perfect person for me at this moment in my life and in my career and my relationship to my art. When I was very young, I was afraid of the sun. I was afraid of natural light. I really loved control over light. I loved to model things and make things perfect and glints and gleams and this backlight and this side light and it could stay like that, and you would have time for it. And the thing about the sun is that it's just moving and changing, and every moment is different. And that was too terrifying to imagine making a film with. And so I wanted to draw storyboards, or I wanted to think of ideas, or have ideas come into my mind, and then draw a picture, and then make that picture well lit in a studio. And this is how my early films were made. And then I met other kinds of artists, and I met John Toll, and John Toll loves the sun. He loves it. And we went out on Cloud Atlas, and we were like, yeah, we need reality. We need reality in this story. This is what David wrote. We have to have this relationship to reality. Okay, yeah, we're gonna do it, yeah. And we sort of tiptoed out into the world, and John showed me that the same miracle that I love in acting, when it's not like about controlling, you're just trying to make this field where people feel comfortable and they want to be open, and you try to make this for an actor so that they can let their heart just come out, and when it happens, and you can't force it it just happens sometimes. It's like this perfect emergence of a moment of something human, and you see it and you capture it and you're like, oh, it's such a gift. And that's what John taught me happens with the sun. And then if you put them together and you see this quantum magic moment happen where the sun and the light is so beautiful and so perfect, and the acting just like emerges, it's what became the thing that I loved about filmmaking. And that was a big shift from somebody wanting absolute control to somebody who wanted to give up complete and total control and just wait and hope and see what happens. And I think what Tom was saying earlier about the energy that's in the two movies can kind of be summed up in that way, that there's something, very mathematical in the Matrix movies, and it's beautiful. It's so, and everybody loves how perfect, and that's beautiful. And there's something that is just miraculous and accidental and gorgeous that is not, you could never make it with like an X-Acto knife. It's like, it had to be just in this quantum magical state. And that's kind of how I feel about my relationship to trying to control the story. That maybe when I was young, I wanted to control it a little bit more, but now that I'm older and maybe a wiser person, I let the story control me.
Tom, is it the same process for you writing music, that balance between fantasy and control? Maybe?
Yeah, it's a big subject. It's I think we've parallelly discovered.
My doppelganger.
Yeah, we have this feeling that we sometimes go. It's obviously I come from a different storytelling style background or so, but letting go of control and committing to the moment. In filmmaking, it's challenging because there's sometimes 400 people and 25 technicians and 3 guys holding a boom for 20 minutes, and their arms start moving, and you go, I can't cut this scene. It's still interesting or so, but of course it's absurd sometimes in a way to pretend, hey, we can just do whatever we want to do, because the moment you say cut, like this whole big construction falls apart for this breathing moment, and then you realize, how do you? I'm still struggling with this. Let's say not struggling. I'm also looking at people who are more liberated about it, and I want to still learn to get there. It's something about the Pit, by the way. It's the established band name, I think it's already now. So the Pit today had to endure my sufferings because I had some weaker times recently, because I was ill and I was questioning a lot of stuff. And of course, artistically, you go into your editing room, you go like, oh my God, this is a total mess. Everything is horrible. And I came in with a lot of doubts and sort of broke our rule of coming in and saying, no but instead of yes and to introduce my speech. But the great thing was there was this kind of net, and that's the difference between when you're this kind of standalone solitude artist, this whole idea about the artist genius who knows it all, and everybody's just like taking the genius out of your fingertips, and they all have to understand what you want. And when you see those making-of films, and when these people say like, oh, he knows exactly what he wants, and there's this, it's fucking bullshit, of course. In 99% of the case, we don't know anything until we go there, and then of course it's the way we act, that we say like, I want this, and that everybody goes, oh my God, he's so brilliant. And inside we go like, I don't know why I'm saying this. Or, so the process is this, and I'm the perfect, and luckily I'm a very, was heißt nochmal treu? Treu, English? Loyal, but I mean the word with lovers. Faithful. I'm a faithful person with my crew. I love working with people for a long time, and they're witnesses now. There's many people that I worked with for 25 years or longer, and they've seen me, I think, climb that hill where you start to let go of, I know exactly what I want, and you start to say, like, I actually don't exactly know what I want, but I have this feeling, this could be interesting or this, and then you realize that people have a lot to offer, like actors do, like people on set do, like production designers do, like cinematographers telling you, hey, look at the sun, but before you were saying, no, I know exactly it has to be inside, it has no sun. Leave me alone with the sun, it's not controllable. And you, it's like the most, it was like the most comforting therapy session where I was coming in and I said, like, I have all these doubts. And you kind of took away those doubts and created something out of it that I actually understood better what was actually our plan than before. You know, I hadn't understood the plan anymore. I had lost the idea. And that doesn't happen when you're alone. You sit there and, oh God, this is all bad. And then you kind of throw it away. You do. And sometimes you've been on a great path, but it was demanding, it was risky, and it was dangerous. And then you just turn away and you do the stuff that you know about and that you feel you can control. And I have to, I need help for that.
Mm-hmm. Tom, therapy is fantastic that you mentioned that, because I saw in the trailer there's a therapy and you're sitting there, which is a wonderful situation for writers, I think, a therapy, because you're also in a dialogue.
We said, how do you really feel about it, Tom? with ties.
Making notes.
Yeah, but a therapy situation, how important is it for the whole movie and for the dialogue maybe with us?
I mean, it's therapeutic to be in the pit because there's this comfortable space where you believe in people's not only intelligence, but the flow of emotion, right? It's the safest space I know, right? You expose yourself to, as an artist, to other people all the time, right? And I speak for myself, I am vain, right? I like to be right and I like to be liked. And so it does not happen often. And it's not that I'm right and liked in the pit. I'm liked, at least, I hope. But it doesn't matter. It is a place where we operate together on the same brain wavelength, and things appear to me that I would have never come up with alone, right? And the questions that I might have after thinking about it alone, it's not even that they answer it often. There's always this space and story beyond the questions that I have, the things that I cannot imagine by myself. And so, as a solitary artist, as a literary writer, you always bump up against your limits. And that's the nature of the thing. I can only know this many words in the language. But these people, they know so much more than I do about so many things, right? And even if we know the same amount of things, whatever that may be, it is more than the sum of the parts. It is this machine of imagination that it is really, it's really hard to describe how that works. I don't know how other people write in writer's room, to me, because I've never met a suit or writer's room other than the pit. But it's truly magic. And so what I've written about it here and there. But what happens after Sense8 or after we just watched The Matrix, I watch this and I at no point can say, this is mine, this line, this scene. Oh. And so nothing in it is mine and everything is. Mm-hmm. And not because I can claim it individually, but because I'm a part of this, I suppose, a football team, if they win, they all win or they all lose. That's how I like to think about it. And watching it, I feel pride in the thing I'm watching, but also that we did this together. It's a continuous bonding experience, right? The more the pit works together, the more the pit is full of the pitness of it, and that it becomes addictive, right? I cannot really. I'm trying to quit literature now.
So, David, I just try to speak a little bit about all these different layers in the Matrix mystery. I really like all the religious things, for instance, the God, maybe the creation myth. Platon, of course, is also a big topic. The cave similarity, elegy. Exactly. So that, or the thing about the free will. For me, it's also a trilogy about the free will. We have this illusion, and all the characters have this kind of illusion, and maybe it's just an illusion, even if we are not part of the Matrix. So how did you deal with all these given wonderful aspects?
Wow, I'm in Germany talking about free will and predestination.
Yes, in Germany. Platon, Nietzsche. I didn't mention Nietzsche, sorry.
I'm honestly not sure how to answer your question. I dealt with the deep philosophical concepts in the Matrix. Did we deal with them? They're there. We discuss them. We incorporate them. We get ideas from them. We try to convert them into dialogue and scenes, because this is a film we are making for the entertainment industry.
Yeah, sure.
Deal with them, I'm not sure. I'd kind of like to answer the question you asked before, if that's okay, which was, it's no disrespect intended, but maybe it's relevant as well. Old novelists don't die; they just write the same book again and again and again. And we aren't athletes; we don't get too old for it. But I think we can become imaginatively sclerotic. Like we can get rheumatism, and we can get nervous about taking risks, and so there were many more novels published by people in their 30s than people published in their 60s or 70s. And how come? And I think this sort of syndrome can kick in, the aging novelist syndrome. And I'm in my 50s. Sashi's a few years older than me. And it behoves us to think about how to avoid this. And I think the antidote is really simple. It's other people. It's working with other people and viewing and learning what they know about narrative. Now, there's just about a link to your original question here, Knut, but this might involve writing at a more philosophical level than I would normally write, and that's great. It might involve thinking about consciousness or gender or sexuality in ways that I wouldn't happen upon if I was working on my own, and that's great. Thank you, Lana. It might involve thinking about structure and music and the musicality of words and the textuality of music. Thank you, Tom. Sasha, just thank you for your sense of humour and the rest of it. This is this is a kind of antidote for me, professionally and creatively and imaginatively. That's about the closest I can come to an answer to your question, and I hope that will do.
Thank you so much, David. Took the question seriously. Thank you. No, I mean, of course...
Back of the net.
Of course, Lana, we are talking about a product for the entertainment industry, but the fantastic thing is that all these things that I tried to mention, and books had been written about it, and theses and so on, that they sometimes happen unconsciously in a book or in a film. They're there because they are part of our normal life, of our conscious, and they can happen unconsciously in the films. That is wonderful.
It's the Trojan horse principle. You smuggle in thought and ideas and abstract concepts in the Trojan horse of boom, spectacle.
Exactly. By the way, in the trailer, to mention it for the last time, I think we hear the wonderful song of Grace Slick, which is the song about Alice in Wonderland in a way, and the book. I saw the book of Alice in Wonderland in the trailer. So is this kind of a reference to this, maybe the craziest piece of work in British literature?
It goes much deeper than that.
Yeah.
The actual Grace Slick performed White Rabbit for this club that was open at Jefferson, was basically created to be the house band of this club, and that club was called Matrix.
Really?
19 what? 16
Are we living in a simulation? I think it's pretty obvious.
Unbelievable. I'm really overwhelmed.
You only found out now, no? Yeah,
Really?
it's a recent discovery. I mean, the club is 1967, okay?
Sure.
Thanks to Esther.
Yeah, unbelievable. I mean, just one question about the special effects, because really I said that Matrix changed the course of history of science fiction movies. It was really groundbreaking what you did. Can we expect something like that for the new movie? Things that we never saw before, but happened in Matrix, I think.
We've got to revolutionize movies again.
Great. I'm so happy. So let me say some, just for the end of our talk. I have some more questions, but let me just say it in German. Die beiden sind gern bereit, ihre Bücher zu signieren. Die gibt es auch oben. Wenn ihr hochgeht, sind die Bücher da. Und auch die beiden sind gern bereit, irgendwo was raufzuschreiben, was immer ihr hinhaltet. Also, und seid so lieb, behaltet eure Masken auf, wenn ihr dann an sie rantretet. I have such just a few more questions, very short. Is Trinity real in the movie? What about the colors? We have the update in the end of the trilogy. Now we have different kind of colors. Is Morpheus is new, of course, but why is he young and now? Things that I would love to know. I'm sure you want to know it as well.
Good luck, matey. Good luck.
December 22nd or 23rd in Germany.
Yeah.
X equals 4, 37, and why is the missing link? I don't know. Say the questions again.
About the colors, there's this kind of new filter now. It's like an update. This whole world looks different. Is Lawrence Fishburne really gone? Or what about this young guy, Morpheus?
Oh, do you really want me to spoil it all for you?
Yeah, do it, please. Trinity, what about Trinity? No? Okay. It was a nice try. It was a nice try. So, thank you so much. It was really a privilege. It was really wonderful to talk to you. Thank you so much. We can't wait for Christmas to see Matrix Resurrection. Thank you so much. Danke euch, dass ihr hier wart.
One pill makes you larger and one pill makes you small, and the ones that mother gives you don't do anything at all. Go ask Alice.
Welcome back, and I hope you enjoyed what ended up being a very kindred and wide-ranging and in-depth, insightful conversation, to be sure. Between these lovely people and artists. So I really also hope that you are enjoying the air, which is electric now with The Matrix, and it's more relevant now than ever. I believe that I think I'll just read something that I wrote, and which I'm very pleased to see that there was a few folks that resonated with it, so I'll just read it. So it's framed initially negatively, but don't worry. So it says, I don't want to hear it. You, yes you. With the post-2010, jaded as fuck, nitpicky, whiny, ungrateful BS to say about an absolutely stunning teaser and fourth wall-breaking teaser site, I don't want to hear it. It is impossible to hear anything but pure elation right now anyway. We need this. Oh God. Do we need the Matrix now of all digital-addicted, comatose populist times? Art keeps life accountable and has the potential to change it too. The choice is yours. You can type your Reddit-style bullshit in the comments as much as you like bullets to Neo, they're not gonna fucking touch me. Not today. Today I choose my reality. 1999 era, non-cynicism activated. Some of you young people might not remember. Now you will. The Matrix has you. Take care everyone, and until next time, bye for now.